This video is on some tips on styling curly hair wigs. So I'll give you guys an example. This is a look that I'm doing for a client in Africa. It's a manufacturer. They manufacture wigs, which I also train their girls to do that. But this is the actual wig that she sent a picture of that she wanted me to do. And I'm going to show you how I'm doing this on a texture of hair that is quite different. So you are going to come across where you're given a particular style, but the texture may be slightly different. This is a little bit more coilier, more kinkier. That picture shows a little bit more looseness. But just to create the style, there's two tools that you will need. You will definitely need a mannequin head that has a face to it. It makes it a lot easier for you to style it because you're styling it actually on a person or a client. So having something that has a face to it makes it a lot easier for you to create the look that you want. And then you will need a pair of stylish shears. Most stylish shears have this little point on the end, and depending on your skill level or how you were trained or how you self-taught yourself, you will hold these in different ways. So there are some who hold with their pinky finger resting in that spot. And then you have me who actually lets my ring finger kind of rest in that spot. It all depends. You have most people who are like this, where they have the middle finger resting, which is a little bit less control. So this is why I prefer this way. And for even more control, depending on what you're doing, what angles you're cutting, you'll use your pinky finger to rest in that area. So most common for me and for most is this way. So just kind of giving you a tips on how to hold your scissors or your shears. Let's say the correct word. But when you are cutting curly hair, when we're trying to create layers, it is best to use shears, and it's best to cut them in sections and strand by strand, not completely strand by strand, but a few strands at a time. Curly hair needs to be cut bluntly in order for the curl to look nice. You don't want your ends to be frizzy, so you don't want to cut in angles. Makes sense? So you want to cut bluntly and then kind of pull the hair completely out or fluff it however you need to get the look and the volume that you want when it comes to curly hair. So never cut in this pull away and trying to shear it down in an angle. If you pull it out, cut in a blunt cut. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to start with her bangs, which is seriously the easiest thing. It's just finding where things are. Don't be afraid to use something that's going to help you stay focused as to what you're cutting first. So if I want to pull all of this back and out of the way, I have clamps for that. So I'm going to pull this back out of the way, and I'm going to pull this back out of the way. So yeah, we're just focusing on the bangs. It already has some layer to it, so we're going to play around and follow with that. But the guidelines is to have your longest sides longer. So as you can see, I'm cutting bluntly. I'm not shearing. I'm not going in an angle. I'm just cutting for the length I'm looking for in a blunt cut. And taking pieces at a time. That's all you have to do with curly hair. So now that you know the basic, simple steps to cutting curly hair, let me go ahead and just finish this off for you and show you. so there you are. This is the curly wig video on, you know, the simplest form. Keep in mind, anytime you are styling a cut for curly hair, it's about molding. So it takes a really good eye to look at images or kind of pull what's in your head and put it into, you know, the style of the wig. But having this type of blockhead and the right pair of shears helps. But I didn't cut too much. You don't want to cut too much. You don't want to cut things too short because you want to allow for the client to do any further prepping if necessary. You do want the cut to be nice and balanced, but you don't want it to be overdone and actually exactly to this, you know, wig head, and that person's head shape might be slightly different, but you do want to get the idea of the cut across. So I kept the bangs a little bit longer. It's as easy as pulling the wig back a little bit to shorten it, or if that client wants to cut it, they can. Creating the layers is very simple. Use hair that's already in multi-layers, and if you have to go back through and cut through some of them, always cut at a sharp, blunt cut. Creating layers with a curly wig just requires you pulling it out and then cutting in a vertical direction. So that's what gives you that tapered look or that volume and layering. So that's exactly what you do. You just pull a few at a time and cut upwards. So I was still working on that here in the back, but that's how you can create it. You look for the hairs in certain areas. This takes time. It takes a good eye, and don't rush it. Just practice that. So your only steps you need is this type of cap and understanding that when you're cutting curly hair, you need to cut in a blunt cut. That's it. So this week it's done. See you guys in the next video.